The human mind has always possessed an uncanny ability to perceive and interpret the world around us. While our 5 traditional senses have served us well, there exists a realm beyond their reach, a mysterious 6th sense. Intuition, often regarded as this elusive 6th sense, has fascinated scientists, philosophers, and everyday individuals alike. Today, we will be venturing into the realms of science, physics, and psychology to shed light on the intriguing phenomenon of intuition and explore the evidence supporting the existence of a 6th sense. Before we begin, I'd like to share a personal story with you. When I first moved to Cape Town many years ago, I found a house share with 2 affable South African guys. It was a lovely old place at the end of a cul-de-sac, large sash windows, wooden floors, a garden at the front of the house. The day after my arrival was a Friday. My friend Carrie, who lived in Cape Town, came to visit in the early evening, and the guys left us for a night out, Matthew cheerfully reminding me to close his bedroom window if we went out. We waved them off with a casual yeah, eagerly anticipating our girly night in. We made something to eat, and then sat on the living room floor, happily engrossed in our reunion and downing mugs of tea. Carrie was always a droll and animated storyteller. At one point, she thumped her hand on the floor to dramatically emphasize something she was saying. Seconds later, a soft thud was repeated in another part of the house like an echo. Carrie continued with her story for a minute, and then I interrupted quietly. "Did you hear that too?" "Yes," she replied with a look of curiosity. "I'll go and see what it is," I said casually. We both thought that a neighbour's cat had snuck in. As I walked up the hallway, I noticed that Matthew's door was open, a soft breeze making the curtain breathe gently. My body froze as the hairs on the back of my neck stood up. Someone was in there, a man. I felt his presence as palpably as if I could see him. I backed slowly into the living room. "Someone's in the house," I whispered to Carrie. In an instant, we silently agreed our strategy, a bluff to give us some time to get help, and we continued to talk with false, adrenalized lightheartedness. We moved carefully towards the kitchen, our eyes locked in mutual horror. Carrie picked up the phone to call the police while I tiptoed into the kitchen and grabbed the largest knife I could find. As Carrie waited for the police to answer the phone, she gesticulated furiously for me to cover the knife so that it wasn't apparent to the intruder that we were armed. He could use it against us. In a flash, I found a dish towel and carefully covered the knife. Any fool could see what I had done, but neither of us could think of a better solution, and neither of us knew what we would actually do with it. The operator answered the phone, and Carrie began to give out our address and explain our predicament. I was standing next to her, holding the knife aloft, the dishcloth fluttering inanely in my trembling hand, when the naked torso of a man suddenly materialized at the end of the hall. I was so frightened that I didn't even register his features. He was just a dark, faceless shadow that appeared, his back flattened against the wall along the hallway, as he inched towards the sound of our voices. Time stood still. Carrie, in her fright, began to cackle hysterically, her bizarre laughter filling the room and bouncing off the floorboards. My own trauma response was to flee, but there was nowhere to go. Exit stage left, no. Exit stage right, no, I'm trapped, shit. And so I spun in futile little circles like some kind of insane dervish dance, the draped knife flapping in my wake. Then, as quickly and silently as he had appeared, the man dissolved, like a ghost, like a demon, like a mirage. He left an aura of fear and violation that threatened to engulf us as we waited agonizing minutes for help to come. I don't remember how long the police took to arrive, but when they did, they rapped so loudly on the front door that I nearly wet my pants with shock. "Open up, police!" We held hands and walked as fast as our wobbling knees would allow us. In an instant, we were confronted by a policeman who leapt from Matthew's bedroom into the hallway as we hobbled towards the front door. He was crouched and pointing a gun at us. I'm pretty sure I did a backwards somersault, still holding the knife and dish towel, and maybe at this point I did pee my pants just a little. I vaguely remember yodeling in some foreign tongue and wrapping my arms around the policeman's legs. I couldn't let go. Carrie opened the front door to admit the second officer as I clung to the cop, wailing in terror. When I collected myself, aided by some brandy that the policeman insisted I have, we recounted the story with chattering teeth, The policeman listened somberly before leading us into Matthew's bedroom. Cash was lying, untouched, on a table near the open window. The curtains still wafted serenely. This man had not come to steal, one of the policemen told us. Robberies, he said, generally happen during the day while people are at work. Thieves don't remove their clothing, the other policeman added gravely. He didn't need to say what he said next, but he did. This man, he said, had come into the house to rape us. All I could think of was, thank God I wasn't alone. We never knew if he had a weapon on him. How else would he have controlled 2 women? Perhaps when he saw that we were on the phone, he realized that the game was up and that's why he fled. The only thing that had saved us from sexual assault, or worse, was my intuitive knowing. This allowed us to formulate a plan and have something of an advantage over our would-be assailant. I'm not even sure what would have happened if it weren't for my gut feeling. Could we have been murdered? It doesn't bear thinking about. But it left me wondering for years afterward. What had alerted me to his presence? How did I know he was in the house? So let's dig into this mysterious sixth sense that we all have, to see what science and psychology have to say about it. Let's start with how we define intuition. This so-called sixth sense is commonly understood to be the ability to understand or perceive something instinctively, without the need for conscious reasoning. It's often described as a gut feeling, a hunch, or an inner knowing that guides our decisions and actions. While intuition has long been considered a product of mysticism and spirituality, modern research suggests that there may be scientific explanations for this enigmatic sense. Neuroscience research has demonstrated the significance of something called pattern recognition, which occurs in the process of intuitive decision-making. Our brains are adept at recognizing and processing complex patterns, even without our conscious awareness. For example, studies using functional magnetic resonance imaging, or fMRI, have shown that when participants are presented with images or stimuli, certain brain regions associated with pattern recognition, such as the visual cortex and hippocampus, become active. This suggests that our brains are constantly scanning the environment for familiar patterns, which, it's believed, can contribute to intuitive insights and judgments. Emotions also play a crucial role in guiding intuitive decision-making. Studies have shown that emotions, processed in brain regions such as the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex, can influence our intuitive judgments. When faced with emotionally charged situations, it was discovered that individuals tend to rely more on intuitive responses, guided by their emotional reactions, rather than engaging in deliberate reasoning. This emotional intuition can provide valuable information and guide our actions, particularly in situations where immediate responses are required. Implicit memory is something that allows us to unconsciously recall information and past experiences without conscious effort. This aspect of memory has been linked to intuition, as it allows us to draw on prior knowledge and experiences to make quick and accurate judgments. Neuroscience studies have shown that implicit memory is associated with brain regions such as the basal ganglia and the cerebellum. These regions store and retrieve information from past experiences, enabling us to tap into a vast database of implicit knowledge that can inform our intuitive decision-making processes. Unconscious processing also plays a part. Research into this area has revealed that a substantial portion of our cognitive processing occurs unconsciously. Intuitive decisions often arise from this unconscious processing, which is rapid and automatic. Studies using techniques like priming, where participants are exposed to subliminal cues before making a decision, have shown that even subtle, unconscious information can influence intuitive judgments. This suggests that our brains continuously process information at an unconscious level, contributing to the formation of intuitive insights and gut feelings. These examples demonstrate how neuroscience and cognitive psychology have contributed to our understanding of intuition by revealing the underlying mechanisms involved in intuitive decision-making. By studying patterns, emotional responses, implicit memory, and unconscious processing, researchers have unraveled some of the intricacies of how intuition operates in the brain. And it's interesting to note that intuition is used far more frequently and broadly than one would imagine. For instance, a study in 2018 exploring the role of intuition in medical expertise, where experienced radiologists were presented with medical images and asked to make diagnostic judgments, revealed that expert radiologists relied heavily on intuitive processes, making accurate diagnoses within seconds, often without any conscious awareness of the specific cues they used. This study showcased the importance of intuition in expert decision-making. Then there's something called dual process theory in cognitive psychology, which suggests that human decision-making relies on two cognitive systems, the intuitive system and the analytical system. While the analytical system is associated with deliberate and conscious thinking, the intuitive system operates on implicit knowledge and experiences, leading to intuitive insights and judgments. Understanding the interplay between these two systems can also shed light on the mechanisms behind intuition. So that's the scientific view of intuition. But it's the area of quantum physics that introduces some really interesting concepts, such as entanglement and non-locality, which challenges our traditional understanding of space, time, and causality. Some researchers speculate that these quantum phenomena might provide a plausible explanation for intuition, suggesting that information can be exchanged non-locally and instantaneously, bypassing conventional physical limits. This basically means that everything is connected to everything else, and even more freaky, our consciousness, which is part of ourselves, and also part of something greater than ourselves, can become entangled with the everythingness around us. If we look at this theory in terms of what happened to me, it would infer that my consciousness was entangled with the environment, including the physical space of my house. I was both inside my body and outside of it. If this freaky idea isn't enough to cause any intruder to flee in awe and terror, I don't know what is. Quantum theory suggests that through entanglement, subtle information about the presence of the intruder, such as changes in electromagnetic fields or disturbances in the environment, could have been transmitted to my consciousness. This notion raises the possibility that intuition might be influenced by electromagnetic interactions, allowing for subtle non-verbal forms of communication and perception. This, in combination with my subconscious processing, was most likely the scientific reason for my sense of knowing. But I'm not the only person whose internal GPS has steered me in making sound decisions. In fact, I'm in good company. Einstein credited intuition for many of his groundbreaking scientific discoveries, including his theory of relativity and the concept of the photoelectric effect, which led to the development of quantum mechanics. He often described how his intuitive thoughts guided him towards breakthroughs in understanding the fundamental nature of the universe. Mozart, one of the greatest composers in history, was known for his exceptional musical intuition. He composed music with incredible speed and fluency, often relying on quantum intuitive leaps rather than laborious composition techniques. This allowed him to effortlessly capture complex harmonies and melodic structures, thus creating timeless masterpieces. Carl Jung was another influential figure who looked at this fascinating area of the human mind, and he proposed that intuition is one of the 4 primary cognitive functions. He believed that it played a crucial role in accessing deep insights and unconscious knowledge. Jung's own intuitive insights guided his theories of archetypes, the collective unconscious, and the process of individuation. As something of a real crime fan, I was fascinated to look into how intuition has been used to solve criminal cases and came across a few really great examples. Diane Fanning, an author and true crime writer, played a significant role in the arrest of Dennis Rader, also known as the BTK killer. While researching the case, Fanning had a hunch that the perpetrator might be a respected member of his community and potentially involved in law enforcement. This led her to investigate the backgrounds of local law enforcement officers, eventually leading to the identification and subsequent arrest of Rader. Isn't that amazing? Then there's Robert Keppel, a retired detective who used his intuition to make critical breakthroughs in the investigation of the Green River Killer, one of the most notorious serial killers in US history. Keppel had a gut feeling that the killer was familiar with law enforcement practices and would involve himself in the investigation. He established a task force to analyze the case from the perspective of the killer, eventually leading to the identification and capture of Gary Ridgway as the Green River Killer. Psychics also get involved in helping to solve crimes, sometimes with incredible accuracy. One of them was Carol Pate, a psychic detective who assisted in the investigation of the disappearance of Peggy Byers-Baisden in 1999. Pate had an intuitive vision that took investigators to a specific location, where they discovered Peggy's remains. These insights helped bring closure to the case and provided vital information for the subsequent criminal investigation. It's believed by some that everyone possesses innate psychic abilities to varying degrees. Accordingly, psychic abilities are considered natural human capacities that can be developed and honed through practice, training, and self-awareness. It's believed that everyone has the potential to tap into their intuition, access subtle information, or perceive beyond the ordinary senses. This is generally known as ESP, or extrasensory perception. I'm going to share another personal story that illustrates this in my own life. When I was living in London in the 90s, I had a close group of friends that I hung out with. One of them, Chris, became addicted to heroin. This was very difficult for all of us, and I tried for years to support him as he spiraled into addiction. Eventually, I gave up. Heroin governed everything in Chris's life: his principles, his motivations and interactions with everyone, and of course his mental health. As much as we all loved him, he became impossible to be around. I hadn't seen or spoken to him for about 5 years when I had a vivid dream about him. He looked healthy and tanned, just as he had been when we first met. In the dream, he told me in a matter-of-fact way that he was going to die soon. He was quite okay with this. In fact, this is exactly what he desired. But he wanted to acknowledge our friendship and thank me for all that I had done for him during his torturous years of addiction. This was in September of 2012. When I woke up the next morning, I sent a text to one of our mutual friends telling him about the dream. I also said that I didn't think he would make his birthday in December. Once again, it was an absolute knowing. For me, this was real. In some strange way, our souls had communicated in the dream world. He died on the 5th of November that year. I don't know how I knew this, but I do know that this isn't the first and only dream of this nature. I've never trained myself to do this. It's been organically happening to me since I was a kid. It's just another mystical part of being human, I guess. The existence and nature of the sixth sense continues to be a topic of debate, with science, physics, and psychology offering intriguing insights and evidence that all converge to suggest that intuition is a legitimate and valuable aspect of human perception and decision-making. I'm curious to know if you've ever experienced any of the things that I've discussed. What are your thoughts about the matter? Does everyone have this magical sixth sense? Is it something we have to focus on and train ourselves to do? If it's just a survival mechanism, then why do we also have precognitive dreams that aren't just about our own well-being? And what about the idea of non-locality of consciousness? Are we all connected in some spooky way through the quantum field? Is intuition actually the GPS of the soul? It's certainly a perplexing language that we all use at some point in our lives. I very much look forward to hearing your thoughts and experiences. Leave your comments below. Until next time, take care of yourself, and do join me again in the future as we unravel some of the weirdness of being alive and attempt to answer some of the big questions of life.